Osteen. I am Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs, and in my role I supervise the STAMP, the Campus Recreation Services, Parent and Family Affairs, Fraternity and Sorority Life, and the golf course. And the work that I do impacts students in their out-of-class lives in a variety of ways, primarily through the activities they choose to get involved with and the student organizations they choose to join.
Well, my name is Warren Kelly. I'm an Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs in the Division of Student Affairs. My role is to work as part of the leadership of the Division of Student Affairs. We have what I would like to say are most of the areas outside the classroom. So while the biology teacher cares about what happens in biology, we care about everything else. We care about the full development of students while they're here on our campus. They're growing and maturing as people. They're clarifying of their career and ambitions and ideas, the development of their social connections with others, and sort of the way they begin to see themselves as citizens in the broader world. And that's what we do. And so I help with that in the leadership team. I believe that our student organizations, our ethnic and culture-based student organizations, are some of the most sophisticated organizations we have. Student leadership that's very engaged, very aware of the dimensions and aspects of the issues that belong to the diversity arena. And so I've just enjoyed working with students in that arena for a long time.
So let's see, as a student, I was in student government. I was elected vice president for financial affairs, I think they called it, at my college, Eckerd College. I was an RA for 2 years in an international student dorm, which we called them at the time, I'm old, and a more traditional student dorm. I was on student court, and I was a member for all 4 years, the Afro-American Society, we called it at the time, which is now Black Student Union, or African-American Student Union, but it was the Afro-American Society at the time. So I was a pretty active student leader, and I'm grateful for all those opportunities I had, because I was a pretty introverted person, and so it really made me, working in student groups enabled me to have outlets to work with other students, meet other students, do great things. So my college only had, Eckerd College, only about 1,200 students, about 50 of them were African American students or black students. So we spent most of our time protesting for more black students, more services, more academic programs. So I think every generation of students has the thing that they fight for, and that's what we fought for. So one of the things I admire about like about working in education is that each generation of students gets to decide the things they're going to stand for, protest for, advocate for, and I find that very nice. So.
As an undergrad student, I was involved in a fraternity, and I was very involved in the College of Business. I was president of a business fraternity and chair of the business council, and was involved in student government. I also was a cheerleader. But the thing that probably led to my career in student affairs work was I was an orientation assistant for 2 summers, including being the student leader of orientation my last year. And I was a resident assistant. So those 2 things led me to understand what student affairs work is all about and prompted me to pursue this as a career goal.
I went to a small school in upstate New York, and I was very involved on the campus. I had lots of great opportunities. I worked in the orientation office as an orientation leader, and I worked in a Greek letter organization and had many different leadership roles in that organization. And what I find fascinating about that is some of the things I learned, the experiences I had, and the skills I acquired working as a student leader on campus are really the same kinds of skills I use today in my current job. So I found being involved and being active was just a terrific prelude to going to work.
This takes me back quite a few years here, and I went to school here. And I went into the architecture program, and what I'm remembering is that I didn't have a lot of advice on what to do. I was first generation. I knew how to draw, and architecture seemed like a good choice. So I didn't get a lot of advice. My parents certainly loved me and supported me, but they couldn't help me with that process very well. I didn't live on campus, and so I didn't develop the kinds of connections that students who live on campus I think have opportunities available to them. I was at this campus, lovely as it was, at a time when the diversity of it was different and less than you see now. And so there were less inherent opportunities for those kinds of connections available to me, particularly in programs like architecture, which had very few students of color. I worked in a construction group And I worked with older men, mostly African American. Of course, none of them had a college degree. And what struck me about these men is how smart they were. They were very smart men. They were very creative on the job. They came up with ideas that just I was impressed with. But I also realized as I talked with them that they weren't going to go very higher in their jobs and in their careers. They were limited. Even as smart as they were limited by the lack of that degree. And so while I lamented that for them, I realized for me it meant getting back into school, and that's what I did. I came back with much more focus. I got the architecture degree. I went on to work in a university setting after that, and eventually went on to get a master's in general administration and then a PhD in psychology. And so when I think about students and the college environment, I think about how to help people understand themselves and to believe in the strengths and talents that they have, and to be honest and true to the passions and interests that they have, and to use this experience as a way to learn and to clarify for themselves what they want to do so that they can move in the directions that they want and accomplish their life's ambitions.
Well, given the multiple identities you embrace in your work as student leaders, which ones are more salient and which parts are left out that MICA and others could create dialogue and learning opportunities around?
The question I'd like to raise for you today is, how can you find partners with whom you can work so that as you work together with your partners, you can foster win-win for both organizations or both partners?
And I've got some questions for the students. Now the first question, how can the benefits of what your organization does extend beyond campus to have impact locally, nationally, or maybe even globally? And how can we as administrators highlight these opportunities and help you connect with resources to support the work that you do in your various roles on campus? And my second question, what is the legacy you want your student organization to leave? How would you describe your role in helping it accomplish this?